when I was older, maybe 17 years old, one of my older friends said, "Yo, I need a behind the scenes photographer." And I said, "Okay, pass me a camera." That was my first time, I guess, creatively explore what I could do with a lens,
Yeah,
and I was addicted from there.
yeah, yeah. So that was I mean, so that's basically leading up to like your the early photography days you're doing behind the scenes work and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was following a friend, and I would say we started to go to concerts out here. I was going to like Schoolboy Q shows, Wiz Khalifa shows, shit like that. And honestly, just being a part of the crowd was boring to me. So I would ask my friend because he always had like his like he had a Canon like 6D. I would say, "Yo, do you have like another camera with you?" And I'd just take his camera, move as close as I could to the stage, and just start taking photos from there. That was like my first few steps into photography, and then gradually I found my way to the streets after getting bored of doing shows.
So that was gonna be my next question. Was like after you got into photography initially, like what kind of photography did you gravitate towards to? So like you said, street photography. So what brought you to I guess that lane?
I would say I was tired of the mundane process of working with people. I guess you could say like doing gigs and having to keep up to with like deadlines and hearing people say, "Yo, could you give me that tomorrow? You give me that by tonight." That just wasn't my thing. So I gradually said, well, first I put down the digital camera, and it probably took me like 3 or 4 months to figure out what to do next. One day I went to a thrift store, picked up a cheap camera, put some, started snapping away. It was a Canon short shot. It was like a real simple autofocus, you know. Used that, and I fell in love with just like the small moments, you know. Like it became something better over time, but it just started out with wanting to do something that was defining myself rather than defining someone else's work.
So more so switching from I guess you could say like gig photography and actually just getting into art and just expressing yourself in an artistic way through photography,
Yep.
which is what I would assume this book is mainly about, just more so like expressing yourself as an artist and expressing yourself as a photographer and being able to just also I would assume self-publish a book. You know what I'm saying?
That's correct.
So but before we get into all of that, so just as we are here to speak about the book, just speak about, I guess, to start with the title and the inspiration. What led you to creating Dubsack?
Okay. Well, I guess like how do I say this? I'm a product of my environment. I born and raised in Patterson, and like if you don't know somebody that's like selling something, you probably stayed in the house your whole life. I was around this since I was a kid. It's just as I got older, I took different route with it. So first thing, damn, what was your question one more time? Sorry.
Well, first of all, everybody out there right now, has everybody got a chance to check out the book, or are y'all familiar with like the contents of the book? It's a lot of drugs in the book, you know.
Yeah.
So, but just talk about that. Like, what made you decide to choose that as your subject matter? I know you say you're a product of your environment, but more so,
Yo, I
what made
thought
you?
about it like this. The last time I saw a bunch of drugs in front of me in like a screen or a photo, it was a movie, bro, and it was probably like Johnny Depp and Blow or what's this shit with Cameron, bro? I can't remember off top. Nah, Paid in Full. It's like very few outlets of media actually showcase this anymore. So I started thinking about it like how come we can't see people making money off of this? How come the only route to like a view of this is like a dispensary or you see it in the news, Mike Tyson, such that. Nah, bro, these are regular people. These are people that treat this like an actual business, like a Fortune 500 type shit. And being around that for years, I just thought about it like someone else needs to know about this. You know, I initially had the idea because when I was younger, I used to travel back and forth. I used to go to farms. I would look for prices for my plugs and shop for them basically. And being in that environment, I'm like, damn, these people trust me, and I'm like, I'm kind of talented with a camera, so they're not gonna say no. I had to take advantage of being in a good place and quantifying that and making it tangible. I think the message overall is if you got an idea, you can make it come to life. If you got a seed, you could grow it into a tree. This is like only one step in that direction. I think that there's more of a conversation to be had with it.
So even opening up that conversation, how do you feel about, as it relates to your art? I guess consuming, if you do any, as smoking weed is photos of weed, photos of mushrooms and stuff like that. So even like in regards to art, what's your point of view on that? Or like, or just even everyday life, like what's your, I guess you would say your point of view on drugs as a whole?
Damn, like, drugs? I mean, I don't wouldn't call them drugs at this
I'm
point. Like
saying, so
in
what would
in
you?
in 2020 or 2022, in the 2020s, whatever you want to consider it, this shit is like medicine now, man. Like the science is there. People. Well, you can see the government legalizing it from state to state, and you also see in the news psychedelics is becoming more of a medicinal thing. So I guess I caught the wave at the right moment, but I also just want to share the information.
No, I know. I feel exactly where you're coming from. Like I agree 100%. There is a stigma on drugs, or for lack of better terms, but especially as an artist and being able to express yourself and connect with yourself, they say mushrooms.
Yeah, nah, I'm 100% an advocate for psilocybin. I'm becoming like more of an advocate for LSD. I believe that psilocybin is probably one of the key ingredients in changing anyone's life. Especially used intentionally. Personally, myself, I've been a microdoser for maybe like 2 or 3 years now. And when I started, I was working a 9 to 5. I was sad. I was going through depression, dealing with social anxiety, things like that. And over the course of time, I mean I got over the whole 9 to 5 bit, taking like controlled doses and planning. It made it easier to execute a plan where I decided to just like work for myself rather than continue to put myself in the system and be stuck wanting to create and not creating. So I guess it made it easier to allow myself to make more comfortable decisions.
So pretty much the content of the book is also something that helps you personally as an artist and through everyday life. Um, and I think that's important as an artist to just, whenever you are creating art, you got to create based on your life,
Yeah,
your
how you
everyday
live.
life, your inspirations, how you live. You know what I'm saying? It's things that are true to you.
That's the only way to make the best work.
Yeah, and that's personified in the book. You know what I'm saying? So right now, let's go through a couple photos on the slideshow behind, and I guess we could just talk about a few photos that are actually in the book. With all that being said, and yeah, see, yeah. Well, hold on. We're gonna do the questions at the end. Hold the questions. Hold the questions. Hold the questions.
Hold your
Hold the questions.
question, Nemo.
Hold the questions. But yeah, so with all that being said about the content of the book and how that relates to West as an individual and as an artist, we're gonna take a look at some of the photos behind or inside of the book, Dubsack.
Oh, these are behind the scenes photos.
Oh yeah, so actually, I'm
These are some
mistaken.
unseen
These photos
photos.
were not actually in the book. These are like extra behind the scenes
Yeah,
photos.
you might see some faces.
So hold on. Even before we get into that, how important was that to just respect the culture as a whole when you were photographing? Because you said like you said, there's no faces. You might see some faces in here on these photos, but the ones in the photos, just speak about you know that process and respecting the culture as you documented for a book.
I would say throughout the process, I mean, me and the person that I made this with, we've known each other for a long time, so comfort was there. I was uh, I was making photos knowing that I wanted to make a project, so creatively covering the face was a part of it. For some of these, I actually I don't remember what all I put in there, so you might see a face or two in it. I might even be in some of these photos. Shit.
Yeah. Now we just live in a digital age where everybody is just showing everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to hear you say that you might see some faces in here, which alludes to here maybe.
Nah,
So
it's definitely no face.
no face, no case. Respect the just respecting the culture.
For sure.